We just had Pollo absolutely dominate Peterbot 5-1 off spawn, going on to win the entire tournament. I'll talk about what went wrong for Peterbot and what this means for his trio going forward. We also now have confirmation Queasy is going to be contesting Malibuca at Demon's Domain. So we now have two of the biggest teams on both regions going at it. I'll talk about what's happening for the next 2 weeks in the summer break. Are there any tournaments at all? And I'm going to recap all of the action from the last finals. This was one of the most fun tournaments I have ever watched. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Do you ever wish you had lower ping? It's one of the biggest factors in gaming, but it's often very hard to control. However, with the sponsor of today's video, Exit Lag, it couldn't be simpler. It uses AI to optimize your connection to make sure it's taking the most efficient route. This can not only improve your ping, but also the stability of your connection. Now, Exit Lag knows everyone's connection is different. The further you are from the servers or the worse your connection, the more room there is for improvement if it's optimized. However, you don't have to guess whether it's going to work for you. Exit Lag offers a 3-day free trial to everyone watching this video. No credit card sign up. You can try it and see if it works before you buy it. I've been paying for Exit Lag now for almost 5 years. I use it every time I play any games across the world with all my friends, and I even use it to connect my Google Chrome to different servers if I want to watch Netflix or if I want to download a program that isn't available in my region. There's never been a better time to try Exit Lag. They're now charging only 6 months for their annual plan, and you get a bonus 3 months on top of that. So that's 15 months for the price of 6. So if you want to try that out, click the link in the description down below, but getting quick, the offer ends soon. Let's kick off talking about what you're all here to talk about. Peterbot getting dominated by Pollo's team off spawn 5-1. Now, I'm not going to show you guys the individual plays because, again, most of these spawn fights were over so quickly, it's not really worth me putting them in the video individual. I have them running behind me just so you guys can see them. This is from my watch party. I was watching them off spawn. You can see in these fights how it went and who won. So, again, 5-1 to Pollo, and this wasn't like some kind of like, oh, some of the games, you know, Pollo won, but, you know, Pete got third party, they disengaged, but they ended up losing. No, just straight up 5-1. I think every single spawn fight was over in about maybe 20 seconds max. Like, it was a very quick straight 50-50 for the top chest, and Pollo's team just played it better. I do want to give a very special shout out to Acorn. I think Acorn played these spawn fights phenomenally. There's a few games that 100% Pete's team probably should have won, but Acorn either won the 1v2 on the rare chest or pulled off an insane clutch, hit some crazy shots to clutch up the fight. Overall, it was a very, very good day for Pollo, Acorn, and Ages. I think all three of them across the board probably just played better. There was a few games where Peterbot did have really good drops, one of which I do think Pete very easily could have won if the RNG was a bit more in their favor. Had the best drop for the left side, didn't get the gun, then went over to the chest. Ritual got the chest, he got an SMG. Pollo's team got the chest and they got a shotgun, and that made a big difference. But overall, 5-1 is 5-1. You cannot chalk that up to RNG. You cannot say it was just bad luck. Pollo's team outplayed them. I was talking to Ages about this on his stream after the tournament, and he basically said Pete's team is not going to outwork them right now. There is no world where Pete's team is going to put in more effort than Acorn, Ages, and Pollo, and that's what spawn fighting is. He said Pete had Pollo with him, who was max passion the last couple of years. They've both been fully locked in. Now that Pete's missing scrims, missing eval cups, just not playing the game as much, there is no way Pete is going to outwork them, and that is what this spawn fight is. It's all about drops. Now, again, Cold and Ritual, there's a few clips going around. There was one specifically of Acorn watching back Cold's drop on his stream, and he had this to say.
This is why I left Grim Gate. That's right here. Hold up. I'm talking my shit. This is why I left Grim Gate, chat. Oh my. Oh my god. This is why I had to leave.
If you don't get what Acorn's referencing there, he's talking about when Acorn and Cold tried to contest Pete and Pollo back at Grimgate way back in last chapter, saying that it was Cold's drops is the reason why they didn't want to contest Peterbot. Now, I think Acorn is just taking the chance to talk some smack, and this was Cold's by far worst game. This drop was terrible. Across the board, outside of this, it wasn't this bad. I do think Pete had the best drops of their trio, but it's looking a bit rough for Pete right now, and a lot of people are asking, what does this mean? Will Peterbot leave? And we've had this conversation a bunch on the channel, and I don't know, because at this point, if Peterbot leaves, he could pull a Venom situation where he tries to drop somewhere else. That team doesn't leave. Maybe they lock in more. They absolutely grind the off spawns. They then put up a good fight against Peterbot, and at that point, his off spawn rep is completely ruined. Some people saying right now Peterbot's off-spawn rep is ruined as is, but I think a lot of people can appreciate that Acorn, Age, and Pollo are three of the best players in the world who are clearly locked in grinding right now and just taking this more seriously than what Peterbot is. So I still think there is a bit of Peterbot's rep in there. Maybe he goes to POI and the team just leaves because it's Peterbot and he has the land spot, but this has made people realize that Peterbot can be beat and you can't take that back now, especially going into land where there's a lot of players who already disrespect NA as is. A lot of the EU pros already didn't need another reason to not contest Peterbot. They'll just think, you know, oh, look, he can be beaten now. So I don't know what this means going forward. I think Peterbot's is going to commit and keep going to this drop spot. I know Pete fans are hoping that because they got beaten so badly off spawn, this is going to be the wake-up call Pete needs. This is going to be the motivation he needs. He's now going to jump into scrims every day and practice the game. I know people pointing out that Peterbot is like level 60 something right now. For reference, I'm level 62, the guy who never plays the game, and it is worth pointing out customs don't count towards XP, so all the scrims that Pete's been doing haven't gone towards his XP, but one of the things that's always made Pete is just his unwavering dedication to the game. He's just on the game all the time, grinding it like crazy, which is what gave him the confidence and the ability to be Pete. Without that now, you know, things are looking a little bit rough. I don't think we should be pretending that things are over. Pete's career is in shambles. He's never going to do well again. I do think it is a sign of potentially the kind of situation we're in right now. Peterbot has stopped playing a lot of scrims. He didn't show up for the Eval Cup, and now he gets 5-1 off spawn against Pollo. I don't think these are coincidences. I think it's a trend, but I don't think it's something that Pete can't change if he locks in. We're about to go into a 2-week summer break now. There are no tournaments for 2 weeks. I don't think scrims are going to be that phenomenal. I do plan on running some really stacked trio tournaments in the second week of the summer break for the pros to lock in and grind for FNCS. So there'll still be things to play, but this could be the time Pete needs to fully mentally reset, chill out, do whatever he needs to do, take a bit of a break, and then lock back in for FNCS. Or maybe this is just going to be Pollo's domain for the rest of the season. I don't know. Let's look at the overall leaderboard now, because it wasn't just a good day off spawn for Ages, Acorn, and Pollo. It was a good day across the board. They won 3 games. So of the 5 games they made it off spawn, they won 3 of them, taking home first place on 438 points. And I feel like this helped a lot of their rep when it came to, you know, they don't do that well when they make it off spawn. A lot of Pete fans and Pollo haters have been saying the same thing. Yeah, Pollo's winning a few more spawn fights, but Pete's still the better team. When they make it off spawn, they look like they can win the tournament. When Pollo's team makes off spawn, they don't do anything anyway. But clearly proving that maybe that was them just messing around in scrims. Maybe this was a particularly good day, or maybe they've been so focused on the spawn fights that they're now only starting to look at like what they're going to do in endgame, because they got 438 points. They got a 5 Elim 14th, which was their only bad game once they made it off spawn. Their other 4 games they made it off spawn were a 13 Elim second, 11 Elim win, 18 Elim win, and a 12 Elim win. They absolutely dominated. This is one of the most impressive tournament performances we've seen in a very long time. Taking down Pete's team 5-1 and then going on to back those games up once they made it off spawn. Absolutely incredible performance from this trio, and Demon's Domain is a solid drop, but when I talk about Malibuca's team later on EU, I don't think it's just a guaranteed win drop. Yeah, they had a bit of extra surge from Peterbot's team. Yes, that's obviously going to be a bunch of elims. That's going to be, what, 15 elims they got on Pete's team, and if you look at their overall elims, they got 59. You compare that to Clicks, Higgs, and Iomzo in second place, who still played really well. They got 369 points, and they only had 34 eliminations. So a huge difference between the two teams, even if you take out the 15 they got on Peterbot. So Clicks, Higgs, and Iomzo played extremely consistent. They didn't get a win, but they did get a 4 Elim 11th, 4 Elim 4th, 12 Elim 2nd, 4 Elim 2nd, 4 Elim 5th, and a 6 Elim 2nd. 3 second places for Clicks, Higgs, and Iomzo. Quite unfortunate, but honestly, they played really solid. They should be very proud of themselves. I think they could have played better in that first game as well. I think the first game they came out trying to abuse the triple gold glove items we've seen recently, you know, the ones that shoot all the bats at people. They tried to come out and use the strategy they've been doing in opens to abuse these. They got 3 of them, and it just hurt them too much. The extra time they spent trying to go for these to get them kind of messed up their whole surge rotations. It messed up their rotations in general through early and mid game, and I think it messed up their meds, because again, if you're carrying 3 sets of these, you've only got 3 sets of meds on your whole trio, and unless you're dropping Demon's Domain to have the medallions, so you don't really need minis, that's just not enough meds. So we did see this team pull out their strategy with the gloves quite a bit, but they didn't have 3 of them running it every single game since the early game. Like we saw in that first game, their worst performance was when they tried to change up the strategy and do something different. Once they went back to their usual playstyle, they absolutely popped off for the rest of the tournament. It is worth pointing out, Clix's team is adopting more of a traditional Surge meta, or at least kind of adapting to what a lot of other pros are doing now. And I know Surge trading is a topic that upsets a lot of people, but it seems like it is the best way to get your Surge, and more Fortnite is saying that it's totally okay, and if anything, promoting it, you'd be silly not to. And this has created a lot of drama for a lot of teams who don't fully agree with this. Clix's team being one of the main teams that didn't agree with the fact that people should be Surge trading. BloodX, their coach, being especially vocally negative about it. But again, you kind of just have to adapt to the meta right now. If you've got a bunch of extra meds in your POI, every other team on the map is just built up trading. Unless Fortnite's going to do something about it, if they're allowing it, it's just going to have to be one of those things that becomes normal in Fortnite. I'm not a huge fan of it either, but it is the best way to have consistent games, and it looks like Clix's team has recognized that. Again, there's going to be some teams always doing it more than others. There's always going to be, teams that you're suspicious of like, why are they there every game? Surely they're teaming. But I think, again, teams building up, looking for Surge tags at range with the extra meds and mats they have is just good strategy, and it's going to be nearly impossible for Fortnite to stop this. And that's what Clix's team is now doing, which I think should help their consistency a lot, especially if it's going to come down to a Clix versus Acorn race for first place. So that first game, they tried to go a little bit crazy. They spent a lot of time getting the wings and trying to make sure they had all their items, didn't get their Surge. Once they started going and getting it in a more conventional way during early mid-game, it definitely helped their strategy out. We did also have Booga, Threats, and Craze in third, which is a very good showing from them. That's 2 top 5s now in the first 2 weeks combined. And remember, this team hasn't yet qualified for LAN. Now, this did come off the back of one of the most insane clutches I've seen from Craze ever. I have absolutely no idea how he managed to save this game here. He has double mobility right now. He has the wings, he has the dashes, and he has the chug jug, but he doesn't have the health. 12 HP, almost goes down to fall damage. Craze needs to put a lot of distance between him and the opponents, and he doesn't have a lot of time. Craze has to try to clutch up the 1v3 of a lifetime. 3 builds. This guy can't hit a shot. Hike. L2, R2, my ass, bro. Fucking press L2 then. God damn. Oh my god, how have we lost that? Craze is him. Just behind them on the leaderboard, also battling for their land position, we have Rapid, Kanata, and Bolt. So first week 1, fourth week 2, very solid by them on 272 though. So it was a very 3-horse race at the very end of the tournament. Ages on 438, Clicks on 369, and Berg on 351. So a bit of a drop down to Kanata, but they did get a win on the day. They played really solid. And then Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx rounding out top 5 on 254. So again, 3 of our biggest teams that a lot of people have eyes on to try to get their land spot in that top 5 right now. I feel like the other big one was going to be Rise, but I'm not sure what is going on for Rise right now. Rise of Even G-Money going Outpost Enclave, and it is ridiculous down there. They're going up against Curve's team every single game, and one game, I am not exaggerating, 9 different teams made their way into Outpost Enclave. 9 teams. It's on the edge of the map. I have no idea why it's attracting so much attention and so many third parties, but it is going to cause a lot of issues for Rise, and I don't know if that means they might maybe move back to their old drop at the Shafts. We'll have to see. I'm not entirely sure. I do want to talk about the Brazilian boys as well. We had Phaser, PH Zin, and King come in 12th overall. Uncontested at Lone Wolf Lair. They had a 16th and a 22nd and another 16th, but they also pulled off a 5th and a 6th. So they've had a few good games in there. They've shown they do have the potential. They can make it happen on NA. They had uncontested Lone Wolf, but not a phenomenal day for them. Not bad though. Reed, Cooper, and Curly having a rough one in 11th place overall with uncontested Flooded Frogs. Not entirely sure what happened there, but again, they've already qualified for LAN, so less pressure for them. Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot with the one game they made it off spawn. I do have to point out they got a 19 elimination 4th place. So for a lot of people are going to jump all over Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot and start talking a bunch of smack, and this is the end of this is the fall off of Pete. Pete sucks now. He's terrible. This team is still one of the scariest teams in the world once they make it off spawn. And I think Ages, like I talked about at the start of the video, summed it up perfectly. Right now, Ages' team is just outworking them. That's what a lot of off spawn is. It's preparation, it's locking in, it's just doing the little things really, really well and absolutely grinding them to perfection. Pete, Ritual, and Cold's team still absolutely run through lobbies. The one game they made it off spawn, it was like a warpath. Every team they pushed would just instantly run away from them. It reminded me of Peterbot in Grimgate season. No one wants to get in their way. Peterbot's team is still extremely scary. They're still phenomenal at the game. They're just going down to Pollo right now, which does give some hope where if Pete does switch jobs or Pollo leaves or something changes at that job spot, I think Pete, Ritual, and Cold are still going to be a contender for the FNCS Grand Finals. we'll have to wait a couple weeks to watch another tournament like this to see whether this was just an off day or whether this will be a trend going forward. But Pete's team still looks extremely dangerous when they make it off spawn. Moving on over to EU now. The Savage fans aren't going to like this one. Chino, Pablo, and Fedoxy bring home the first place on 375 points, winning one game at uncontested Supernova. Now that Miss Savage is left, Fedoxy is looking absolutely dominant. Second place, last grand finals uncontested, now bringing home this first place. So they got an 8 elim 5th, 10 elim win, 6 elim 16th, 2 elim 23rd, so 2 not so great games, and an 11 kill second and a 15 kill second. So absolutely popping off. Fred's team is so unbelievably aggressive in the mid game. It is insane. I actually want to reach out to Fedoxy and ask him who he decides to key each game, because pretty much anyone who is like kind of in line with Supernova or to the north, he'll just run them down. He'll pick random games where he goes really far west, really far east. I think he just changes up who he keys to make sure no one team gets too used to him keying them, so he catches people off guard. Because a lot of games, I can't really seem to figure out why he's gone a certain way he has. Like, yeah, he'll try to third party a fight because they're contested, but he won't go there next game. He'll go somewhere else, and then he'll go somewhere else. It seems to me there's no real rhythm to it other than keeping people guessing and keeping them on their toes, and it clearly works. I do want to shout out Vico, Veno, Flixie in second place on 319 because they only played 5 matches. They didn't connect into one of their games. They had a bug right as they were about to load in, so they came second place with 1 less game. They got a 3 elim 19, started off really bad, but brought it back. 9 elim 3rd, 15 elim win, 9 elim win, and a 2 elim 9th. So unfortunately, that last game really costing them. They could have potentially popped off really hard in that game and overtaken Fedoxy, especially with another 15 kill win. But across the board, really solid from a team that a few people were starting to get worried about, myself included. They have uncontested riddle box cars, not the greatest drop on the map by any means, but Veno's team is a phenomenal team, and I just really wasn't happy with their placement so far, and I was a little bit surprised to see it, but they showed up big, proving they are still one of the best teams on the region. Now, another team that's been really quiet that I even talked about in my video recapping finals when I was talking about who I wanted to do well, saying that if Malibuca's team doesn't at least get a top 5, I'm going to be really shocked and worried that something's going wrong with this team. They now show up big, and they get a 3rd place overall on 313 points, kicking off game 1 with a 17 elim win, and you already know how they got this elim, but I'm going to show you anyway. This is how they managed to rack up almost 20 kills in finals, and I'll give you a clue. We've got the full low ground control right now. We have 7 eliminations on the board. We have the triple gold gloves in the hands, and right now, Malibuca putting the pressure down from below. Not finding too much value, but it's starting to break down some of the builds. We've got Ping over here putting in some damage. Look how much damage it puts down. We have just wiped like 5 players on the low ground in a matter of seconds, just completely wiping the lobby, getting rid of anyone who could stop us. And now we have the low ground. We can get the res. We have all the space, all the refreshes, and this is looking like a free win for Malibuca, Ping, and Wox. They have 13 eliminations already, and there's still more left. They're going to go back to using the bird gloves again. Just going to spray any team down. They spray Pablo's team into the box. Fedoxy falls at the hands of the gauntlets. We have 14 eliminations right now. There's nothing you can do. You can't stand against this. Pink goes down as well. There is literally nothing you can do to stop this once there is a full trio on low ground this healthy using them together. Is a 3v2 situation. Pixie and Vanya on the high ground, but they have all but won this game. Now, if you're a Malibuca fan, before you celebrate too soon, yes, they've clearly figured out the meta like we just watched, but their off spawn is about to get a lot worse, a lot quicker. We have Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache announcing they're going to be contesting Malibuca. Swizzy's been in Russia renewing his visa, so he hasn't been able to compete. Now that he's back for FNCS, the trio is locking in and they're dropping on Malibuca, and they're coached by none other than Razaru. Now, this is important because Razaru has been the coach of Pollo and is currently the coach of Peterbot, so no one knows this spawn fight better than Raz right now. He has watched over 35 rounds of 2 of the best teams in the world going at it. He knows everything there is to know about this drop spot, and while it is mostly just a 50-50, I'm very excited to see how this one plays out. So we've now got 2 land qualified teams, 2 of the best teams on EU going head to head. Sounds a bit familiar, but EU's now just got a lot more exciting. I'm excited to see how this one plays out. I don't know if either team is going to leave. Malibuca has a history of almost never leaving drop spots. He's being conned in multiple grand finals, multiple LAN events, and it doesn't leave. Queasy's the same. Queasy has been contested so many times in grand finals now. Both these teams don't have as much to lose. They've both qualified for LAN, so I have no idea how this is going to go. This is going to be an extremely spicy spawn fight. A spawn fight that wasn't very spicy, at least for Savage fans, was Chap, Savage, and Rezon up against Rick Boar's team over at the Resistance base. Chap, Savage, and Rezon unfortunately finishing 21st overall, getting a 10 elim 4th in game 1 because they had a really good spawn fight where Savage pulled off this. For this part here, but can't they just swerve off and go here? Oh, this spawn fight's going to be very messy. Oh, we got tower. Oh, we got tower spire. Oh my god, 3 shots, 3 hits.
One's on me.
Oh my god, Savage is him. Oh my god, we knocked 2 already. Savage is him. 3v1. Oh my god, 3v1. Oh my god, Savage is him.
Listen. Kill
Damn.
the bot thing. Go pop everything.
Well,
Kill the bot thing.
they then also managed to win the off-spawning game number 2, but unfortunately, Chap gets lurked on, Rezon goes down, and the whole trio gets wiped by a third party, and for the rest of the tournament, it was downhill from there. They got a 21st, 27th, 31st, and 33rd. So they got 21st overall on the leaderboard, and almost all their points coming from that first game. The team contesting them, Rickball, Belusi, and Zangi, didn't do much better. They came 18th overall on 99 points. So it's not like they did terrible and the other team did really good, but it's a situation we've seen too many times for Mr. Savage, being contested and just going against them. So I'm really scared to see what this means for the trio. The drop spot has the potential. Muzz's team's going there on NA and doing really solid. Savage can do well from here, but they need to win more of the spawn fights if they're going to try and pop off overall. Like I said earlier in the video, we are now going into Epic summer break. They do this every year. They take 2 weeks off where there are no tournaments. And as unfortunate as timing is, it is what Epic always does. So if you guys want to play some cash cups, I will be running them, like I said, in the second week of this break. Just join the Discord in the description down below. But I am actually going away with my family for 6 days. I'm going to Fiji. I'll probably post some stuff on social media. If anything crazy happens while I'm gone, you know me, I'm a grinder. I'm going to record it on my vlog camera and post it on the channel. But I've got some other videos recorded that are going up very soon. So keep an eye out. It's going to be some banger content. But I really do want to say thank you for all the support right now. This is some of the most fun I've had making Fortnite content. And I really appreciate you guys. So I'll see you when I'm back from my holiday or if something happens before then.